Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Podnuts Pro. I am your host, Marvin B., and we are here on a getaway Friday before a long holiday weekend, but still doing work. So, hope that you enjoy this over your lunch hour. Today's show, I am joined by another technician, owner of an MSP out of Louisiana, David Dearmond from Strix, LA. David, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Marvin. Thank you for having me here today.
All right. So, David is somebody that I met via Uplevel Systems, and we started talking about business and stacks. And so, we're going to basically do a tech to tech show talking about some of that stuff. So, this should be very, very good. But let me get first started with a couple of little bit of announcements here. So, as many of you know, I have been having a lovely time with FedEx. Today is day 21 of Package Watch. So I have 11 packages from D&H that were sent FedEx ground that have been sitting in a warehouse 5.2 miles away that I cannot get. And even if I was to go there and say, yes, I want to pick these packages up, I could sit there in the parking lot all day and not get them. That is what happens to some people already down here in South Florida. So that has been my struggle. Now, if you send packages next day, second day air, no problem, can get those. Just happens to be FedEx ground. And as some of you have mentioned, yes, I did reach out to D&H, asked for their assistance. They should be able to say something to FedEx, but I've gotten really no help from D&H.
Took you a while to add that up, huh?
Yeah. So they haven't talked about extending my payment terms because I am on net 30 with them. So I didn't, send them money right away. But I said, I really don't want to pay you until I actually have the stuff. But nobody's reached back out to me. My account rep, I've talked to twice, and he's been very, very kind and polite. And yeah, I'll get my manager on this. We'll get to the credit department. I'll call you back in about an hour. Same as FedEx. We'll have somebody call you back. Nobody ain't calling back. So that's been a joy. But I do want to say, my good friend Chris, and I'm not going to, really rat him out too bad, but some of you may know Chris, a frequent listener to the show, teased me a couple of weeks ago saying that coronavirus attacked my packages. And I said, okay, joke. South Florida, we're home of coronavirus for some reason. Well, Chris also orders from D&H. He tried to place an order the other day and actually he actually paid for it to be shipped to UPS. Sent me a message this morning. Oh no, they got shipped FedEx. And so Chris will now join me in Package Watch to see how quickly he gets his packages. So that should be fun. So that's my announcement. And I wanted to get out there today that Chris, after making fun of me, now gets to join me in that joy. So speaking of joys, let me first start, David. You are in Louisiana.
That's correct.
And how far are you from where Hurricane Laura landed?
We are about, I'd say, 150 miles or so. And so 150 miles, 100 to 150 miles, I guess, depending on, which part of the storm you're looking at. And of course, to the east. So we're in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Hurricane Laura hit very near Lake Charles. So it's a 2.5, 3 hour drive from here.
All right. Any impact for your business or for your clients?
I wouldn't say any kind of major impact for us. We of course had wind and rain. Actually, the day before Laura made landfall, we had more bad weather. Those bands that come across, and we just got caught in one of those strings where it just kept coming and coming and coming, and so there were a few tornado warnings and that sort of thing. But we had a client that lost power for a little while. Not too big of a deal. It came back up fairly quickly, but Not a whole lot direct impact to us. What we've seen a little bit of is, because everyone mobilizes and heads out to the area that's impacted pretty hard. Sometimes things like, if you have an internet problem or you have a power problem, it might be a little bit slower to get a response. But
Right.
seems like so far everything has stayed up pretty well. So
All right.
for us anyway, I know Lake Charles, they got hammered.
Yeah, I actually heard somebody on a radio show, sports talk radio show, actually call in to use the radio announcer to say, "Hey, can we just, make sure that nobody forgets about us?"
Yeah.
And I guess they're really bad. And
Yeah.
the news cycle is weird that people would. I mean, but again, Lake Charles isn't a big city. It's
Right.
It's not Baton Rouge.
Yeah, I've been surprised by that, because I just a couple of days after the storm, I remember seeing that the storm wasn't as bad as they thought it would be.
And I'm for thinking, Category 4.
Yeah, for a Category 4 in a smaller town, I guess. But those people that were standing in the way of it, I've seen several of the pictures. I don't think that they feel like it didn't have much of an impact. I mean, there are complete buildings that are destroyed. The McNeese University, there's a university there in Lake Charles, and their stadium, the tunnel where the players run out, it's crumbled. Just the structure of a stadium crumbled, and that seems pretty impactful. But
yeah.
I guess. I guess it hadn't turned in. There weren't a lot of deaths, which means, people took the warning signs. They got out of the way. They prepared. We probably ought to celebrate that, I think.
Well, true. And I talked a lot on this show about hurricane preparedness, because we're right in Hurricane Alley. So you guys, I guess, are Hurricane Alley 2, because you do have a lot of hurricanes come up through the Gulf. So do you have a preparedness plan that you go over with your clients and your office in terms of what to do and how to plan for it ahead of time?
We do. We kind of have the official plan. I would say we kind of prep for it so often that maybe every storm that comes through, we don't necessarily go through the entire plan. Again, we always reach out to our clients, say, "Hey, are you ready? Have you done these things?" And try to just touch base with them. And honestly, I don't know. We find we don't get a whole lot of response from it. I guess it's one of those things that we kind of deal with pretty often, and so everybody's just kind of used to it. And you know how you're going to react, because you've had to react that way several times over the last few years. So I guess everybody feels somewhat comfortable with it. Generally, until you're out of power for 2 weeks and you're scrambling to figure out what to do. But we have built into our services how to handle those things, and so it's our goal that you don't have to do a bunch of preparation before a storm, because you're already pretty much prepared for it. That's the attitude that we go with. So I don't know. I'm still surprised every year. We try to do a big push at the beginning of hurricane season, saying, are you ready? Do you have everything in place? And we don't get a lot of response from it, surprisingly enough.
Interesting, because I get I'm not going to say I get a lot, but ours is now consistent enough to where I had a client, reach out to me and say, "Okay, storm season, can you go ahead and set up that time to check our battery backups and all of this stuff?" So they'll do that. And then I have other clients where once the storm comes on the radar, they just basically sit around and wait for the time to call me and say, "Okay, when do we start our protocol?" Because they know their protocol.
Right.
They just want to know from me when to start it.
When do we kick it off? Yeah.
Yeah. And then I do have some where once the storm gets in that 72-hour period, after every update, it's like I'm, the weather channel for them. they then want to go, "Okay, what's the direction? How are we in the cone?" and all that stuff. So I actually do that.
Yeah.
Or I will start to send out email updates. Now I kind of pulled back on that a little bit, because after a while, in the beginning, it was fun. It was kind of like, hey, I'll be Brian Norcross Jr.
Right.
And but after a while, it's like, okay, I can't sit here every 3 hours and give you an update.
Yeah, but I can suggest an app that you can use for that there.
Yep. So I'm like, the Weather Channel, and here's the hurricane app.
Right.
Same one I use. So there we go. All right. So I was going to ask you how you're doing through the Rona, but I think we're all pretty much in the same boat, waiting to be fully open again. Are you guys still in any sort of lockdown, or are you still in phase 1? Are you in phase 2, phase 3?
The official state is phase 2. Now the state of people's opinion is probably a little bit further beyond that, and people's actions, they do what they have to do. When you go into a store, you wear a mask and everything like that. I know there's a big fight going on right now politically in Louisiana about high school football and them being able to play. Something finally motivated the legislators to have a discussion with the governor. The governor has been much more, we want to keep things locked down. The people of Louisiana, we're very kind of free and just like to, they say laissez le bon temps rouler, right? Let's just pass a good time. And so the people have been reluctant to follow along with the governor's constraints, and kind of been asking the legislators to get in there and limit the governor a little bit. You have the power, limit the governor, and they've been reluctant to do it. But football, high school football,
well,
that has
important.
motivated them.
That's
that
important.
Is motivated. Yes, we have to keep our priority straight. Business, but high school football, let's make sure that's
well. Especially, was it last year that you guys were champs? LSU?
Yeah. That was what a great season. What a great season. That's
why.
Yeah.
Champs got to defend, right?
That's right.
All right. So, Florida, let me tell you how bad it is here. It is bad that we are not only still in phase 1, even though our numbers have come down significantly, the governor is still not sure. He wants to open up the rest of the state, but not South Florida. So right. Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade counties, they don't want to open up yet because we have the most defiant people in the state. Although it is going to be counted as serious now because on Wednesday, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson announced that his family tested positive.
I heard about that.
So obviously we're going to get some attention now.
Yeah, so. Yeah. You may need to even take a step back to complete lockdown. If
Rock has it. Yeah. So he hasn't put out a movie in 6 months. So
this is slowing down the important high school football and movies from The Rock.
Yep. Oh my goodness gracious. All right. So now let's talk about Strix LA. So of course, when I first met you, I had to ask why Strix LA, because everybody's going to assume Los Angeles.
Got to be Los Angeles, right?
And you've got those Laker colors.
Yeah, the LA, that's our state code. That's LA. It's Baton Rouge, LA, and our official legal name is Strix, Louisiana. When we created our domain, so that people could go to our website and send us emails, the thought of typing out Strix, Louisiana, I've lived here my entire life. I still find it hard to type. So we said, well, we'll just go with the abbreviated name there, the LA. So it was strixla.com. That was our domain. Well, it just kind of stuck, and we would start having conversations with people, and they say, oh, well, that's Strixla there. Like, wait a minute, we're not Strixla, we're Strix, Louisiana. And so what we've tried to do over the last several years is let's force the Strix LA. We know they're just going to go with the LA, that's in our domain, but how can we force them to say LA instead of Strixla? Because Strix, that's a separate word, LA. And then I figured, LA is a pretty popular place, so it gives people a pause. Oh, are these guys from LA? They must be big time, right?
Good, yeah.
I bet they're in the movies with The Rock. Let's maybe hang out with them a little bit. So That's what's kind of stuck. And the Strix LA, it's, we that's kind of the way we market. Whatever sticks, we'll stick with it. And if it doesn't stick, then we'll try something else. So that's how that came about.
All right.
We've embraced it.
And now you started this company 2008?
2008, October of 2008, coming up on 12 years.
Yeah. So after doing a stint at some other places and all of that stuff, so what led you into going out on your own?
Yeah. Well, when I came out, I graduated from LSU. So when I came out of LSU, I started with a small business here in Baton Rouge and working in their IT department, and got the opportunity pretty early on due to certain circumstances. Got the opportunity to become the only person in the IT department. So I became their IT director. I gave myself a fancy name. They didn't really have a name before, but I was going to give myself a name.
Who's going to argue? There's somebody else in the department, right?
That's right. Who's going to stop me? I made my card and I put IT director on there. So I spent about 10 years there. And what I was able to do is to build a system and a process of managing IT there. And it worked and it was smooth. And frankly, it got a little bit boring. There were some other things that I wanted to do that I felt like we really needed to do to improve the competitiveness of the business, and the owner of the business, he wasn't interested in it. That spend money on cars and things like that, but not necessarily IT. So it got frustrating to me to be there. So I left there for a short time. I went to work for a software development firm. It's kind of what the thing that I really enjoy is building software. Went to work there for about a year, and the original company was calling me back saying, please, we need you to come back. We're having these issues, and can you come back? I said, well, I'll come back, but it's with the agreement that you'll let me do something on the side and be able to have some side work. And so it created that opening for me to have some income, normal, a normal job income, along with doing side work, and the side work continued to grow. So within another year or so after that, I asked them, look, I would like to go full time. I'll bring you guys on as a client. I can do everything that I'm doing now, because it doesn't really take that much. I didn't tell them that. It doesn't take that much time. So I can bring you guys on as a client. You won't feel a hiccup, but let me go full time. And that was in 2008. And that's when I officially opened Strix LA, or Strix Louisiana at that point. And just kind of took it from there, and then took those same things that I'd built for that company, and started applying them to other companies, and then learning, well, how can we improve this, and what's a better way of handling it, and so it's just grown through those years into what I think now is just, I'm very proud of what we have created here at Strix, and what we're able to go to another business and put this stuff in place, and it helps them run, it helps them feel comfortable about their IT, and so it's a very rewarding feeling.
All right. And you've actually built yourself a team there.
Yeah, we have 4 employees now. So we have HR to worry about, and those types of things, but we're certainly working to build ourselves bigger. We've hit a point. I spent, I don't know, I probably at least the first 7 years just trying to tinker and perfect things and make it work, and I finally reached that point where it felt like it was where it needed to be. Let's really start scaling this up. And so we opened an office. I was working out of the house for most of that time. We opened an office. We started hiring a few people, and so that's kind of it's funny, because of COVID. Now we're back at the house, so this is my home office, and we decided, well, we'll just, at least for the time being, we're gonna close the office, the official place, and I'll just work from the house because it makes more sense for now.
Right.
So some things go full circle, but yeah, the growth has been fun. It's presented some new challenges and some new things for me to focus on. So.
All right. So before I dig into some of your technical stuff and your stack, I wanted to ask a question because you yourselves have a little podcast you guys do, the Chill with Jim show.
Chill with Jim.
And
That's right.
So I caught that. And is that aimed towards your clients, to other techs, to anybody?
It's open to anybody. I would say it is aimed towards our clients and other businesses. So we're looking to have a conversation with business owners, with business decision makers, so that they can make better decisions about their IT, so that they better understand what's going on out there, what is available to them. And so we have different episodes every week. About half of them focus on cybersecurity because we feel like that's the biggest threat out there right now. It's also it's kind of this enigma that many businesses, they realize, oh, we have to have cybersecurity. I don't know what that means. I don't know what ransomware is. I don't know what a trick bot. What trick bot? What's that? So we try to educate them. We of course we do the cybersecurity training that you can send out to people, the know-befores and that sort of thing. People kind of pay attention to it. We started talking to our clients and we started presenting the information, and they liked it when we did it. So we said, well, why don't we do it on a bigger scale? Let's have some conversations about the tools we use or the tools that are available, the threats. Some general. Yesterday we did Chill with Jim, and it was all about marketing. It was about video marketing, and we brought on a guest. We brought on a guest that's a client of ours that is very good at creating marketing and marketing videos. And so we brought him on, and he educated us. How do you do this? And we send that out to everybody. So yeah, Chill with Jim, it's a lot of fun. The idea is to be very low key. We bring everyone who attends Chill with Jim. It's a Zoom webinar, but we bring all the attendees on as panelists, and everyone is open to talk. They can turn their video on. They can have a discussion with us or with a guest that we bring on. It's meant to be relaxed. Ask whatever questions you have. We're going to go over a topic, but if you have another question, ask us that question. It's just meant to. We say that it's technical discussions or IT discussions without the IT guy attitude. We're not going to bring a bunch of attitude and judgment to you. We're just here to have a little discussion.
Right. That's good. That's good. So we had somebody in the chat when you were talking about the cybersecurity and whether people listen or not. He wrote, "They do not want to know what it is." LOL. So,
yeah.
I don't want to know until it happens.
Yeah, and then they want to know, well, how did you let this happen?
Right? Weren't you taking care of that?
Right.
Yeah. Part of it's us, but part of it is you. So you have a little bit of responsibility as well. So Interesting. So marketing, in terms of growth, now you made it sound like you guys weren't that knowledgeable about marketing. My nickname is No Marketing Marv.
All right.
All of my business has pretty much come through referrals, both from clients and from other consultants that I've worked with. Mm-hmm. So in terms of your business, how are you growing your business? I did notice that you were involved in BNI.
Yep. Yeah, we are members of two chapters of BNI. Yep. Yeah. We well, I was a member of one in a city right near Baton Rouge here. And the city that I live in, it's a small city just to the north of Baton Rouge. It's actually in the same parish. We have parishes here, not counties like everybody else. But it's a small city just north of the city of Baton Rouge, and I wanted to start a BNI chapter here. So I put Jim, Chill with Jim. He's our client advocate. I put him in the other BNI chapter, and I started a chapter here in Central. We call it Central City, and so now we're members of two BNI chapters. That is, I would say, as far as the effectiveness for us for marketing and bringing in new clients, it's had some success. I wouldn't say it's just blown things up. We've gotten more out of it than we have put in as far as the money goes. But what it has really helped us to do is to refine our message, because if you're not a member of BNI, one of the things that you do every week when you meet as a group with BNI, you give your 60-second presentation, or if it's a big group, maybe 45-second presentation. And so you have to hone your message very well about what am I looking for, and why should you send people that to me for me to help them. And so that really helped us craft our message. It also helped us understand what resonated with people. We'll watch as we give a 60-second presentation. Do people look up from their phones and actually listen to what you have to say, or are they distracted and you can tell they're going to sleep in that 1 minute? And so it's really helped us key in on those things that are important to small businesses. And so what we've done is we've taken that feedback basically that we've gotten from BNI, and we've created an entire product line around it, or service line around that feedback, so that we know when we're going out there and marketing this, it's something that's going to resonate with our target market. So that's actually been the biggest thing or the biggest benefit of BNI for us is getting that feedback. We deal in larger contracts. When you're talking about your IT provider, they have access to all your data. That's a very, I would call it, intimate relationship between a business and their IT provider. So you're not looking just for that transactional level of interaction. You're looking at a very deep relationship, and so we are better able to understand from BNI what's going to help people trust us, understand what we do, and give them something that is of value to them.
All right. So for those people just joining, we're about halfway through the show here. We are talking to David Dearmond, owner of an MSP in Louisiana called Strix LA, and just started talking about BNI. And the reason I mentioned that and wanted to ask you about that, so I was in a group similar to BNI. It was called Executives of Broward. Mm-hmm. And it was very instrumental in helping me get a lot of business in the beginning. And it was structured pretty much the same. You met every week. Everybody had to present at least their commercial. And then we usually had one of the members have to do a extended presentation. And that also helped in terms of, honing your skills as to how you're going to present to potential customers if you got to do it every week in front of those guys. And what time was your meeting? Was it breakfast or lunch?
Yeah, well, the first group that we're a part of, that's a lunch meeting. And then the new group that we started here in Central, because most people in Central, they leave Central during the day to go to work in Baton Rouge. And so we do that one in the morning. It's on Thursday mornings at 8 o'clock. So
yeah, ours was in the morning and it was at 7.
Oh, wow.
So it was tough. So you had to, be sharp to get their attention, because they're, they're getting breakfast and all they're doing is watching the clock to see when they've got to leave to go get to that, 8:30 or 9 o'clock meeting. So interesting. All right.
We do the same thing with the extended presentations, and it was in one of those presentations that we really learned how to speak to our clients. We kind of did it was very interactive, and we brought one person up that was the business owner, and we gave them a binder, and on the inside it had their data. And then we started picking people from the audience of all of the different types of threats that are coming after that data. and here we call them shields. Here are the shields that we put up to block this person and block that person so that they don't get your data. And then if they do get your data and we pull out another binder, we've got a backup. It's an exact copy, so you still have your data. So it was in that presentation we got a lot of attention and business from that one presentation. It's like, okay, that's what people understand. That's what they understand. I've got data. There are all these people out there that are coming for it. I need something to stand in the way. And so that's really the focus of our marketing now.
Okay, so in my head, I'm thinking that in that meeting, you gave them a binder. So were other members trying to sneak up during the meeting and grab the binder from them? I mean, is it like that?
Yeah, kind of like, I mean, we didn't act it out quite that much, but I positioned people and I said, well, who wants to be ransomware? And we brought them up, and we put somebody behind them trying to sneak in and that sort of thing. So we only had 10 minutes, and I didn't want to get ugly with actual physical altercations. So we drew it back a little bit, but it was a lot of fun. They got into it. What was cool is that they ended up doing a lot of talking outside of what we were presenting. They started doing their own talking. And that's when we realized that whole visual is a very good selling method for us.
All right, that sounded interesting, because in my head I'm thinking there could have been a tackle in there somewhere. All right, so now let's shift to probably the main reason that when I met you and wanted to talk to you is I wanted to start reaching out to other techs and start going over stacks. Mm-hmm. Companies that have standardized, companies that are fully gone in with their processes and have standardized and all of that stuff. So your company was referred to me by our good friend Robin Livesey over at Up Level Systems.
Yep.
Because she says you guys have gone completely up level with your firewall appliances.
Yeah.
So let's start with that, and then we'll move into, because you have a whole infrastructure as a service deal that I want to get into, but let's start with the up level.
Yeah, well, the up level came about. We have always wanted to be standardized, and we've tried different options. We tried. I don't know if you are familiar with the Untangle servers,
Yep.
and we like the price point on Untangle, so we put those in.
Of course.
We've tried the Barracuda. We've tried several different vendors. We were on Meraki until Cisco bought them, and it became prohibitive for us for our clients. So different solutions for protecting a network, and so we went through all of these different solutions, and there was always something. Either the price point was too high, or the complexity was too high. And we have a saying at Strix: it's better, simpler, secure. Those are the three things that we want to just hammer in to our decision making. Is it better? Is it simpler? Is it secure? And so as we looked for that, it was in an email for another publication. I don't even remember which one. And I saw an announcement about Up Level Systems and their approach. And their whole idea was making a better firewall for small businesses that was simple to use and provided security. It's like, well, this is just a match made in heaven. So, of course, that's marketing, right? So I reached out to them and had a discussion, and they were very willing to work with us. It was early on with them as a business, and they gave us a bunch of equipment, said, here, try it out. And so I actually brought it to my house, because I work from the house, but we also have a bunch of other things going on, and I know we have heavy bandwidth, and so I wanted to kind of put it through its paces, and it was extremely simple. The cloud interface that much of it you can do before the equipment arrives. you configure all of that beforehand. The equipment gets there, you plug it in, it pulls the information, and there are other solutions out there that do that, but their interface is just, it's easy.
Right.
It's very easy to use. You can tell they put a lot of thought behind making it simple, and so we put it in. We started testing it when we had questions. We would send a note to support, and their support has been amazing. That's one of the things that really makes us feel comfortable with them, because we know if we have a problem, or if we have just a question and we don't know how to do something, they're going to respond quickly and they're going to dig into it. Some of the conversations that we've had back and forth, with Tom Alexander, he is, I think, the CEO or president. He and I end up having these long conversations back and forth about some very intricate scenarios, and, well, how do you handle this? And then he'll go and he'll have them make a change in the way the firewall works, or the way the access points work, and that makes it so easy. And so, yeah, we said, well, this is exactly what we're looking for. It fits our culture. It fits exactly what we're trying to do as a business and to provide to our small businesses. And we just started putting it in everywhere. And every new client, we have a specific product now. We call it our Network Shield, and it's backed up by up-level systems. And we can go into any small business and say, we can provide you a firewall instead of just using the box that Cox gives you, the modem that Cox has given you, and then sending it to a Netgear wireless router. Let us put something that has actual firewall protections in place. It's got intrusion protection. It's got detection. It's got, alerting, everything else. We can really keep an eye. We need to do some port forwarding. We can do that. We can really keep an eye on your network and protect it. And by the way, there's no upfront cost. It's pure subscription based, and that goes for our clients, which we have always done for our clients, and we just ate the cost up front, which that hurt a lot of times. Okay, in about 8 months, this whole deal is going to make sense. That's painful.
Right.
With up level, again, they made it simple. You don't pay them up front. It's subscription from the beginning. It's hardware as a service, and they send it to you, so it fit our model, and we put it in everywhere. And we've had great success with it. It's been something that we've been able to sell as a standalone product for those small businesses where managed services, they're not big enough for it to fit a full managed services deal. That's very it can be very expensive for a 5-person office to do a full managed services deal. But we can at least bring in a network shield. We can at least put some level of protection for you, and it's great for the customer. It's great for us. And that's the kind of relationships that we look for. That's what UpLevel built.
Oh, nice. So I did trial one of the boxes for 6 months, and I have been a Sonic Wall shop since 2002.
Yeah.
And it's something where if I was just starting out, this would fit.
Right.
I've got some old style attorneys. They don't mind paying up front.
Yeah.
So that's something that hasn't been an issue in terms of outlay. If I can tell them, look, this box will last you 5 years, here's your cost, they're like, done. They don't want to see that monthly cost.
Right.
But new clients obviously are adjusting that. So that makes sense. Now, when I looked at it, there was a couple of features that I thought I would like, but I wasn't quite ready. I still have a lot of on-prem servers, so their directory service quite wasn't for me.
Right.
Are you guys using that?
We not a whole lot. So and I know that they've improved their directory services, and I think they have a direct connection now into Active Directory, so that you can apply it basically natively. We haven't used that a whole lot. We are pushing our clients away from having an Active Directory server in-house anyway. We're pushing the Office 365, the Microsoft 365, because they changed the name quite often. So the Microsoft 365 Business Premium now, where it's got Active Directory, the Azure Active Directory, and we're really working to build the environments around that idea rather than try to manage an Active Directory on-prem, especially because many of our clients, they're smaller businesses, and to go through the complexity of setting up an entire Active Directory infrastructure with a server, it seems like overkill when a lot of their line of business applications and that sort of thing, it's all in the cloud anyway. They're using Dropbox or Google Drive or OneDrive or something like that. All the data is already in the cloud. What is that Active Directory server doing for us now that we can't do with the RMM tool or something like that? So that's really where we found ourselves. And so with UpLevel, we haven't been as concerned about it. We do have some Active Directory servers running behind UpLevel, but we don't really use the UpLevel directory services for that.
Okay. Yeah, I've got, you mentioned most of your clients are smaller, already in the cloud. As I mentioned, my clients, I'm not going to say they're old, stodgy, but most of them are law firms.
Yeah.
And most of their line of business applications need to be on-prem. They're still, those types of systems. And so when they've tried to look at cloud options, they just couldn't find anything that did everything that their on-prem solution did. So
right.
I'm stuck. I mean, I've got 26 servers still on-prem that I got to, worry about. And so I'm stuck in those legacy systems. But that's probably the biggest reason. And, I'm not going to say just UpLevel systems. I looked at Calyptics as well. And they're a very similar model.
Yep.
But they don't have, so UpLevel also has the built-in NAS and some other stuff. Are you using all of that as well?
We use the NAS, and that's one of the things that we've used to kind of replace the file server. We don't need a file server as much anymore, because we can segment the network and assign those segments to shares on the NAS, and so we've used that approach quite a few times to replace the idea of a it is a file server, but the Windows file server.
Right. Okay. All right. Now, this fits into your MSP model that is MSP centric. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned, I saw on your site that you have infrastructure as a service. So does that apply to all hardware across the board?
Not typically, not all hardware.
Okay.
So the networking equipment, yes. The backup equipment, yes. That's all as a service. We don't have any upfront fees. You don't pay for that upfront. That is all as a service. And we are pushing more and more to, again, getting people into the Azure environment, and utilizing the cloud and utilizing that as a service instead of using all that hardware. Still the desktops, we sell those outright. I haven't found a good business case for our clients to do hardware as a service. I know there are a lot of people that do it and successfully, and I guess they've figured it out where I haven't. But when I look at the cost of a device, it seems a little bit too high to me,
right?
Compared to replacing a desktop. You can replace them every 3 years for much less the cost, and with your environment set up correctly, it doesn't really matter which desktop you're using. You plug it in, you get it updated, and then you tie it into the rest of the systems, and it kind of just pulls itself up. So it hadn't been necessary to really worry about the hardware as a service from
Right.
my perspective. I don't know.
Okay.
I see it out there all the time, so I know it must be working in some places. I just hadn't figured it out yet.
It must be, but I've not actually met anybody that,
Okay.
I mean, I've seen it in some groups, where Facebook groups or on an ASCII forum where they've said it, but I don't know those people.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to reach out and meet one of those and say, okay, are you really truly doing this? And are you carrying the note on a lease or something like that? Because that's really what the thing is you're going to carry, the cost of $1,000 system, say, for 36 months.
Yeah. And that doesn't, tax wise, it doesn't make sense to me. Now, I understand it. If you're getting a $30,000 printer, okay, I understand the lease in that scenario, but for $1,000 computer, you write that off as a capital expense and be done with it.
Yep.
And don't worry about the note that comes in that has built-in it has built-in profit and it has built-in interest. That just became very expensive. You can get better interest if you buy it on a credit card. It's kind of what I look at. So if you don't have,
I don't know. What's your credit card interest lately? Mine's they're going up.
When I've kind of let well, and I guess if you're putting it out to 36 months, you're probably right. But usually with $1,000 purchase, the amount of interest that you're going to pay before you pay that off, if you pay a decent amount and aren't driving just to get the lowest possible monthly payment, which is what the lease is doing, you're not going to spend that much in interest.
Right. That's true. $1,000 computer. When I looked it up last time, that was like 28 bucks a month. And then you're going to throw something on it for interest and, some sort of support plan. I guess you throw in a $30, $40, $50, support plan. I don't see customers wanting to pay $100, a month for a computer.
Yeah.
For 36 months.
Yeah. Not general. And I don't know. Most of our customers have been completely fine with just paying for the machine up front. We have had no one ask us, well, can we put this on a payment plan or anything like that? So I don't see the business case and I don't see the demand. But
interesting. So I did have one customer many years ago when we were doing, what was it? We were doing a 7 server. Was it 7? 6. Maybe it was 6 servers. And this is back when, servers were $5,000. So their outlay for the project that I was doing, I think came out to 75 grand. So this is back in, they were 2009 that we did that. They were the only company to ask if they could do a lease.
Yeah.
And I said, not with me, but I can find you a company that if you really want to do that, because I need my money now.
Yeah.
I'm paying, $30,000 for these servers. And then we did software on top of that, the Microsoft Office volume licenses, and there was a whole bunch of stuff that, got added up pretty quickly. So they are the only company. It was a law firm. And it was interesting because it wasn't like they couldn't afford it.
Right.
They could. But for some reason, they just, that one time, and then the very next time we had to do an upgrade back in 2012 or 13, no problem, just wrote me the check.
Yeah, you gotta think that there's some other motivation going on there. It's not just the price tag. There's some other motivation going on there.
Yep, but nobody else has ever asked, so I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah, and again, we're pushing to do fewer servers. We're pushing to do less of these big build outs that cost a lot of money up front. So I guess that plays a role into it as well. When we're talking to a customer or a prospect and we're talking about upgrading their systems, we're talking about, well, how can we get this how can we get as much as possible out of your environment? So maybe we still need 1 server, but we don't need 7 servers because we can get the rest of it out out
Right. Out in the cloud.
cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you think about it. I had Exchange. We were doing on-prem. We had SQL. We had a separate Active Directory DNS server to kind of, offload that with their file servers, terminal server, or something else in there. So it was a lot back then. Not as much now, except for my law firms that still, we're actually getting ready to put together a quote. They've got to replace 2 SQL servers. Still have to be on-prem.
Right.
And that'll be a nice one for me because hopefully they'll pay the 25 grand per server for that. So
yeah,
see how that goes. So what else are you guys doing in your business? So not doing the full hardware as a service, but what other stack stuff like RMM, PSA, dashboard type stuff?
Yeah, we use the RMM is Ninja, so that's an easy answer. We use the Ninja RMM. We've used them, I don't know, for 3-4 years now, maybe longer. And we've been very happy with them. We used them kind of early. We were one of the more earlier adopters of Ninja, and it wasn't overly functional. But again, what I looked at and how I evaluated them and made that decision was, is it simple? Is it easy to use? And Ninja was, you compare Ninja to ConnectWise, and I've been on the Lab Tech. I've been on Level platforms when it was out. I've been on
SolarWinds.
I haven't used SolarWinds too much. I've kind of played with it a little bit. I've used Continuum though, and they're all very good. I would say LabTech was the most difficult to use, but when I saw Ninja, I saw, okay, well these guys have embraced simplicity. We did lose some functionality in the beginning, but what they've done is, to me, what they've done well over the years is really build up the functionality of the RMM and make it more capable. They're pretty active in their development. They're making it more capable, and they've kept it simple. So I've been happy with that. The PSA, we're in a transition right now. So we're actually going from, we've been using Freshdesk for a few years now, which is not typical of an MSP. You don't generally see them using Freshdesk, and we came off. I started on Autotask, and I used Excello at one point, which is a little bit different than some people have done. I've used a few different PSAs. We went to Freshdesk again. It was the most simple one to use. What it lacks a good bit in integration for our industry, and as we look to grow and automate, we decided we've got to do a little bit more, and so we're going back to Autotask right now, and we're actually in the process of making that migration, going through the training right now, and it's been good. It's intimidating when you look at it. Again, I kind of forgotten how many bells, whistles, options, and every configurations there are, and so I'm kind of getting back into that. Freshdesk is super easy, but just not quite the functionality. Again, we have to be better and simpler. We can't just be better or simpler. We have to be better and simpler.
Yep. I remember looking at Freshdesk years ago, and are they still completely cloud-based, right?
Completely cloud-based.
Yeah. Yep. So that was one of the reasons I had looked at them, but did not go with them. And there were a couple others that were all cloud-based that I thought we might look at, but we settled on SolarWinds as our RMM. And I'm the type of guy, I don't like to change unless I have to. So until you show me that it does twice as much for half the money,
you're gonna stick with what you got.
Yeah. Although you mentioned Autotask, because now that they're rolled up with Datto, that's an interesting collaboration there.
Yeah, well, and that's going to be an interesting discussion for us going forward. The Datto RMM, of course, it integrates much tighter, and that's what was the name of the RMM that they bought? I forget what it is. We used it for several years.
I forgot. It's not Kaseya, was it?
No, not Kaseya.
Kaseya's buying everybody else. That's what.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I saw they just made another acquisition, but it was they've got their Datto RMM, they've got the Datto backup solution, they have the Datto networking solution, which is similar to the UpLevel model, um, and and then they've got the PSA, and it all integrates with the PSA very very tightly, and so we'll have to be looking at what's the better, simpler, secure way for RMM. Is it Ninja, or is it the Datto RMM, because of the integrations? Ninja and Autotask already integrate, so we're gonna see how that works. But that's gonna be an interesting review as we go forward here.
Yeah, I was trying to see if I could find the PSA that they purchased, but I
don't know why it's escaping my head right now. We used it, and I actually liked the RMM that they bought when we used it separate. It is a good RMM, but again, just not quite as simple as Ninja.
Yeah. So, are you using any of the other Datto products? Are you using their backups or their networking products?
We use the on-site backup, their Cirrus and Alto products, along with their SaaS backup, which was Backupify. Again, another acquisition. We use that as well.
Okay. Use both of them. I've got still got I don't know, 11 or 12 appliances out there. Yep. And can't really say much else. I've had two companies kind of pique my interest for me to look at. So I told them, I said, well, at the end of the year, that'll be the time for me to, I'll kick some tires at that time. But I've, the Datto backup appliance I've stuck with. It has been, rock solid for me in terms of doing both the local and cloud, and their support has taken care of stuff when there has been issues. So I know that there's other stuff out there that are saying they can do the same thing as Datto.
Yeah.
But I've heard the horror stories of somebody else trying to virtualize an image and run it off of an appliance, not like a Cirrus, which I've done that twice. I've had to do that for customers where, unfortunately, and it's horrible, but I've had to run, a VM for, almost a month off that Datto appliance and still do their other stuff. So that kind of kept me there.
Yeah, we used Replibit for a little while. It always seemed to have issues, and we had two instances with Replibit where we needed to recover and to run the VM power supplies. We had redundant power supplies, and it still blew out. But
you can say it. You can say it. We have no sponsors here.
I mean, we went to recover, and it wouldn't even get started. And so then we of course reach out to support, and on the phone for I don't know how many hours, going through different things. They couldn't figure it out. They didn't know why. And in the end, I in essence had to figure it out myself. And we were always just having issues. I left Datto because it was more expensive, and I saw Replibit, and it looked like, okay, well, this looks like a good price point. We turned around and went back to Datto. We've tried a couple of different ones, and I see that Ninja is rolling out now, a native built RMM. That they hired one of their executives that is from the backup world, and so they're wrapping backup into their RMM, which that's going to be one that I look at. That they don't have the image based yet. They said it would be hopefully in October. We'll see. There's always grand plans, but hopefully in the next couple of months here they'll have image based. Right now it's just file and folder, and that's not enough.
Right.
But once we get the image based, I think we'll start paying attention to it and see what can we do with it. You still lack that device to run the VM locally though, and I really like that about Datto, and like you said, their support has been good. When we needed them, they would step in and help us out, and it feels good as an MSP with only 4 employees to know you've got Datto behind you to help you through what you know is going to be a difficult time.
Right. Well, and it was always nice when, storms were approaching and Datto would do their little, pre-email about, hey, we're here for you. If you need something, let us know. And, being able to show the client, look, this is who we went with, and this is one of the reasons why.
Yeah.
And that was the good idea.
Have you ever had to run one of their servers on the VPN in their cloud environment?
I have not, because all of the clients that we have an appliance in, we've only had to do it locally, but I've not done it from the cloud.
Yeah, I've always been concerned because you think about when hurricanes come through, a tornado drops on the building, that Cirrus is probably gone too. So how well is that going to work over the VPN? And we haven't been tested there yet, but I figure it will come at some point.
That is a discussion that I'm trying to figure out how to have it. So I did have one customer where we were going to test a true disaster and, pretend like the building was gone. And, we were going to pick a day that wasn't critical, kind of like today, if there's a holiday coming up. So
right.
half the staff, aren't working. And we were going to do that. We were going to test it. We were going to make people stay home. And because most of them are doing some sort of remote anyway as an option, but we wanted to test, office is gone, can you work? And they didn't want to do it. They wanted to test the backup, but they didn't want to go that extreme.
Right.
Which is always the hard part. It's if you truly want to test it, you've got to build in that real life test.
Yep. Yeah, and our clients are the same way. They're very reluctant to take a day and test it fully. So you hope that those screenshots that you get that show the VM is booting up and running like it should
right.
be, that is real.
Yeah.
So.
I did have one guy say to me, he goes, well, you know how you test it? You just shut everything down. and don't tell them you did it. I said, okay, I ain't gonna do that.
Yeah, again, a lot of my clients are lawyers.
That's right. Yeah, I've already had one ask me who can he sue over an issue, and I said, okay, not me. I was like, oh my God. So, all right, so we are coming up on the hour, so let me go ahead and just sum up. Well, not sum up, but let's kind of close out here, and let me ask you one last question. And it's one that I like to ask other techs, but if you had to point to one thing that has really made your business either take off or hit its stride, or, the one thing that really solidified, your business over the years, what has it been?
Well, the better, simpler, secure, I would say, is the biggest thing. When we broke it down to that's what we want to do, is be better, simpler, secure. That really helped us hone our message, and it helped us hone our efforts. We had an instance this last week of somebody asking us to do something that it wasn't the better way. It wasn't the simpler way. And we started to do it, and we said, wait, stop. We're not going to do that. And so that's helped us keep from getting bogged down. It's helped put our clients in a better position because everything is better, simpler. And so I would say that's the one biggest thing. I would like to throw in that the next biggest thing was creating that message in the marketing campaigns that we've done really since COVID started. We had that big push when COVID started of making sure that everybody could work online. Again, right. we'd already built the infrastructures to be able to work remotely pretty quickly, pretty efficiently. And so we had a push, but we didn't have to go building a bunch of things and really kill ourselves trying to get people to work from home. So we had some downtime, I guess you would call it, and rather than rest and kind of take a nap or something like that, we pushed on marketing very, very heavily, and we created the Chill with Jim episodes, and we've created this idea behind marketing about not taking ourselves too seriously, um, and really pushing the idea of better, simpler, secure in a fun way, and that has paid dividends. Even through COVID, we've had some ups and downs. We've had a couple of clients, or a client that had to really scale back. We had a couple of prospects that decided not to make a move, but we have signed. I think we're up to 6 now new clients since COVID started.
Nice.
And it's because we reframed our marketing message. And so that has been big. And if you ask me this question in another year, maybe it supplants Better, Simpler, Secure. I still think Better, Simpler, Secure, it's more all encompassing, and it helps guide our way of thinking and our way of acting. But the marketing around being somewhat fun, easy to access, and following that message of Better, Simpler, Secure, that's been very good.
All right. Well, congrats on that, and congrats on the new business in this time when a lot of MSPs are, I don't want to say struggling. I know the numbers say that there's like a 30% struggle. I can't say that I've seen it. I think most have been pretty even keel.
Yeah.
We've been even keel. We haven't taken on any new customers, but we've actually got a lot of projects done. That all those Windows 10 upgrades that for some reason couldn't be done, in the last 2 years, all of a sudden it's like, well, people aren't going to be in the office. Why don't you go ahead and do it now?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, we can do that. But an interesting time. So, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking with David Dearmond, owner at Strix LA. David, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing information about your business.
Marvin, I appreciate you having me. I've enjoyed this.
All right. And I'm going to go and sign up for the next Chill with Jim.
Good. Yeah. Next week, we're having a little fun next week because it's a holiday week, and we're you need to come on okay. Because it's going to be funny cybersecurity and tech support stories. We're just going to go through some stories, and so we would appreciate you coming on and sharing some of the ones anonymously, okay. Of some of the interesting tech support stories that you might have. So we would love to have you on board.
All right, I will do that. I will do that as soon as we hang up here. So good. All right, folks, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. If you took time out of your day to watch the live show, thank you very much. Most of you that are listening audio wise, be sure to head over to podnuts.com and check out the show notes for links and things that we've talked about here. I'm not going to do what I normally do when we have vendors on, because you don't need to contact David for any products or information, but I think I'll put in, will you allow me to put in the link to the Chill with Jim?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Right.
Whoever wants to come on, we again, laissez le bon temps rouler. We just kind of let the good times roll and have a very chill conversation.
All right, so we'll do that. So folks, thank you for downloading and subscribing to the show. Hopefully this has been a show that has given you the information to run your business better, stronger, and faster. We'll be back real soon with another great show. And until then, holla.
Thank you, Mark.